Shabbat Shalom. Let's bless our King by saying Baruch et Yahweh. Baruch et Yahweh HaMevorach. Baruch atah Yahweh HaMevorach le'elam vayet. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'alam. Asher bikar benu makol hamayim when atan lanu haTorah. Baruch atah Yahweh notan haTorah. That is to say, blessed be Yahweh. Blessed be Yahweh the Blessed One. Blessed are you, Yahweh the Blessed One, for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah, to the Elohim of Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, to our Savior, our Deliverer, our Provider, our Healer, our Sustainer, and our El and our King. Master, do we come before you today with bowed head and humble hearts, thanking you, Master, for all things. Thank you for this day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Thanking you, Master, for life, health, and strength, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We thank you, O King, that you have brought us out of idolatry, and you have shown us your truth. And we thank you, Master, for all things this day. We ask that you will forgive us of our sins, cleanse us of unrighteousness, Master, that our prayers be not hindered. Forgive our ancestors also, O Master, that wanted to serve other Elohims, and you were displeased with them, Master, and you sent us into exile, O King. And we thank you, Master, for all things, that you did not leave us all to die. Some of us died by the sword, some of us by starvation, and some of us were sent into exile. And even in this exile, some of us have died. But you said that Israel shall not come to an end. So we thank you, O King, that you are slowly waking Yaakov up and bringing them back to you, Master. We come to you on this set-apart day. O Master, we are here today in obedience to you and out of love and out of fear, O King. We are your witnesses, so we show up to your tabernacle, Master, every Shabbat, because you said you made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day you rested, and we shall also rest, and that shall be a sign that we are in a covenant with you. So we are your people, O King, and the sheep of your pasture. So we ask, Master, that you would hear our cries, turn not a deaf ear to our supplications, Master, but you would lend ear to our needs and our wants, Master. So we meet today, O King, for you said, blessed is a man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in your Torah, and in your Torah do we delight, O King. And we try to, Master, live the best that we can in this exile by your word. For whatever thus saith Yahweh, Master, is what we live by, O King. We thank you for the few that are gathered here today and the ones that are gathered online, for you know the ones that desire to be here and cannot, and whatever their ailments are, O King, whatever that restricts them from being here, Master, we ask that you would honor them as they try to honor the assembly of this day. Master, we ask that you would bless the leadership of this house, O King, that you would continue to grow them in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, Master, and that you would bless our families. And we thank you for keeping our children as they traverse throughout this land this entire week, Master, but you brought them home safely to us every night. So we cannot thank you enough for that, O King. We thank you for all things that you have provided for us, O King. We ask that you will give us understanding of the challenges that you give us in this life, O King, and why we must suffer the things that we do. But we ask that you will give us endurance, Master, that we shall endure all things, that you will give us wisdom to navigate through life's challenges, O Kings. For you said that you were going to send us into exile, but while we were here, that we should build houses and that we should have families, O Master, for you knew that we had to survive and live in this land. But we do ask, O Master, that you would not forget us, that you would not leave us in the grave, Master, but you would reward us because we fear you. And you said that you shall reward them that fear you as a man rewards his son who serves him. So we are your people here today. You know our desires and you know our needs, O Master, and do not leave us, but that you would remember, you would zikar, O King, and that we would be able to meet here again, and you will keep us all week long, and that we shall meet here again at the appointed time. And this is our prayer.
Let us let us read from Psalms 147. Let us read. Hallelujah. How good it is to sing praises to our mighty one. How sweet, how fitting to praise him. Yahweh is rebuilding Jerusalem, gathering the dispersed of Israel. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. He determines how many stars there are and calls them all by name. Our master is great. His power is vast. His wisdom beyond all telling. Yahweh sustains the humble, but brings the wicked down to the ground. Sing to Yahweh with thanks. Sing praises on the lyre to our mighty one. He veils the sky with clouds. He provides the earth with rain. He makes grass grow on the hills. He gives food to the animals, even to the young ravens when they cry. He takes no delight in the strength of a horse, nor pleasure in a runner's speed. Yahweh takes pleasure in those who fear him, in those who wait for his grace. Glorify Jerusalem, Yahweh Jerusalem. Praise your mighty one, Zion, for he strengthens the bars of your gates. He blesses your children within you. He brings peace within your borders. He gives you your fill in the finest wheat. He sends his word out over the earth. His command runs swiftly. Thus he gives snow like wool, scatters hoarfrost like ashes, sends crystals of ice like crumbs of bread. Who can withstand such cold? Then he sends his word out and melts them. He makes the winds blow and the waters flow. He reveals his words to Yaakov, his laws and his rulings to Israel. He has not done this for other nations. They do not know his rulings. Hallelujah. You may be seated. It's good to be here again with a congregation of those of you who are purists within this realm of being Hebrew Israel. I realize that being Hebrew and teaching the scriptures, that everybody cannot handle the truth. And I also realize that the prophet has spoken and says that the Father's people are destroyed for the want or the lack of knowledge. You are blessed today because you are part of a remnant of people who do not follow the ways or the teachings of idolatry, and you understand what idolatry is. Your heart and your desire is to be pleasing in all of your actions and all of your walks and all of your ways to the ways of the mighty one, Yahweh. I realize that there are many pronunciations of the Father's name. We recognize the prefix because no matter how you pronounce this way, the prefix begins with Yah. And all praise to the mighty Yah. He is mighty, he is awesome, and he provides for us and he keeps us. This week I was really, I don't know where the stress came from, but all of the left side of my head from here down through here was so stressed I couldn't turn my neck without pain and without really a whole lot of discomfort. But I spoke to the Most High out of his word, and I said, Father, you said in your word that if my ways pleased you, you would give me the desires of my heart. I says, right now, I desire for this pain that's in the top of my head going down my neck. I desire for it to go because I don't know what it is. I don't know from whence it came, but I need it to go back from where it came from. I prayed that prayer, I think it was Thursday night or Wednesday night, and I noticed by Friday, by yesterday, I could feel it leaving. And now it is pretty much all gone because I walk in his ways. And he honors his word to me because I walk in his words, I walk in his mitzvot, I follow his laws, and I follow his teachings. They are applied to my life, and they're applied to your life. And therewith, you are blessed immensely because of your understanding. We teach the scriptures, and we crucify the text across the street. I had a friend of mine tell me, well, Robert, I know you don't believe in the New Testament. No, I don't. And the reason why I don't is because a half truth is a whole lie. And that document is filled with malicious things that violate the principles of the Father's way and even violate him. And so, I would think that smart men would understand that. But once again, the Most High said, I have given them to a blind stupor. And I want to share this with all of you who are trying to convince this nation of religion and Christianity of the ways of the Most High. The Most High has given them a blind stupor. And if he's given them a blind stupor, guess what we're not going to be able to do? Not going to be able to remove it and take it away. However, with that, when we encounter them and when we talk with them, we're obligated to warn them and tell them, because text tells us, if you see the sword coming and you fail not to warn them, their blood will be on your hands. We're able to share with them truth, whether they accept it or not. We have relieved ourselves of the fact that their blood will not be on our hands. With that being said, I'm deeply pleasured today to have with us one more again and to present to you the honorable teacher for today, the Moray, Sean Appleton.
Wow, how could you not smile? Thank you so much. It is an honor to be standing here before you on this day we call the Shabbat, to represent and talk about the things that are germane to Hebrew Israel, to give honor and praise to the beneficent, the Most High, El Elyon, Yahweh Rapha. Everybody know what Rapha means. Healer, the healer. Yahweh El Shaddai, the Almighty, the one that has created all things in 6 days and rested on the seventh, the one that has delivered his people, his set-apart people, from slavery in Mitzrayim and delivered them to a land flowing with milk and honey, as he would do, because he made that, what, covenant with whom? With Abraham. He made that covenant with Abraham, and he delivered on his promise. And the Most High gave us a mandate. You violate these mitzvot, and I will kick you out of the land. To the one that has dispersed us to the four corners of the world, and by way of grace. How many of y'all listened to the podcast this week? Y'all listen to it, so y'all know where I'm getting ready to go with this one. Does everybody under here understand what grace is? Now, what was grace across the street? What was grace across the street? JC was grace? Thank you. That's how you define grace. If somebody would have asked your Christian friends, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go in already. Sorry. What grace is, what is grace? Unmerited favor. Okay, somebody was in Christianity for a while. Anybody else? What was grace? What'd you say? What did you say? He said God's riches, and I can't remember the rest. That's right. Say that again, one more time. JC dying for your sins, that's grace. Grace is what, Hebrews? What is grace to a Hebrew? This dispensation of time that the Most High has given us to say, hey, listen, I'm giving you time to come back to the mitzvot. Not, what do you say, Moray? Cutting you off completely. Not disposing of you. Giving you an opportunity to recognize I am El Yahweh, who has created all things. I am your El. And allowing you that time to be able to operate even in exile to try to get it right. That's grace. Had you known what grace was and this other doctrine shown up, you said, that's not the same. So to the one that has provided Hebrew Israel with grace, even in our disobedience to the mitzvot, ancestors present and to our descendants, to that one, I say thank you for allowing me to be here with all of you one more. Again, just to tell you like it, T.I. is. Shabbat shalom. To all of you that are joining us by way of the stream, Shabbat shalom to you, to all of our descendants that are not here, that will hear these recordings and understand that your ancestors tried to walk in the ways of the Most High the best way we could with the information that we have at this time. Hopefully, you will be able to stand on the shoulders of giants to see further. Shabbat shalom to you, to all of you that are here with me in this studio audience today. In the car ride over here, me and my wife are having a discussion. We're talking about the issue of simplicity. Sometimes you're going to encounter people that are going to say, this is too complicated. I just want it simple. It needs to be simple. Sometimes things aren't simple. Sometimes we got to dig a little deeper. What is the Moray been saying in the past couple of podcasts? He says, sometimes we got to get on this page of reading the fine print. See, when you're over there across the street, you're reading about generalities and things. And when they say, oh, he went into Jerusalem for the festival of Sukkot, you have no idea what those mitzvot are all about. You don't even know what the motivation is, why he's even doing that. Because why? You haven't read the fine print. Okay? So, sometimes things need to be a little bit complicated. So that's why I ask you, are you ready to go subterranean? You ready to go deep? Are you? I guess not. Okay, that's all right. No, that's okay. We're not ready to go subterranean today. We just won't go. You ready to go subterranean? You ready to go to the stratosphere? Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All right. I want to share something with you that we opened with in the podcast this past week. And everybody in here, under the sound of my voice in the studio audience, probably listened to this podcast. So you're going to be getting this reiterated to you. You're probably going to know the answer to the question before I even ask it. In the podcast this week, we talked about something. I was pondering in my hubris, postulating, I'm using all my big words out, about the Most High. And I said, what is the Most High? What is the Most High, Hebrew Israel? Most High is a spirit. It's a power, right? It's power. That power is what? Does it have limits? Is the Most High confined by time? Is the Most High confined by space? Is there anything imaginable in your cognitive ability to think that the Most High cannot do? So there is an immeasurable amount of power that the Most High has. Okay? I started thinking about the fact that in trying to understand that, if I was the Most High, what would I do? If everything is limitless to me, what would I do? This is me talking. This is not anything to do in text. I'm just giving you a testimony that I had this week. What would I do? I might make something, since I am boundless, something that has boundaries. Like the earth. Like all of you. You did not become a living spirit until what got put in you? The breath of the Most High. So in every single living human being, there is the breath of the Most High. You mean to tell me now what we've got here, do you see what I'm trying to paint for you, is a boundless, limitless power has designed a body that can handle him. Maybe that didn't hit. Okay, that didn't hit. Think about what the Most High is. Limitless. You are so perfectly made that the Most High can put a part of him in you and have it be contained. Something that has boundaries. Do you know how magnificent you are as a creation, as a construct? You can't fathom what the Most High is, but this entity can contain it. When the Most High made man, he said, man is good. And we're going to get into a little bit of that maybe today. Let's ask the question, and we've already answered it before in here before. When the Most High, after each individual day, says things are good, why is it good? Because it functions in the capacity that the Most High made it to. And it doesn't break the mitzvot that have been assigned to it. If the Most High said that sun as a mitzvot is going to rise in the east and set in the west every single day, it is good because it doesn't break the laws. The only thing that breaks the laws that the Most High has instantiated is you. There are things that have been assigned to you that are mitzvot that will not be broken. Let me give you an example. Each one of you has a dispensation of time that you're in right now. Some of us might be 83. Some of us might be 48. Your body will get older. That is a mitzvah that has been assigned to your body that your body cannot break. You deal with these types of issues all the time. Has there anybody that you've seen have Benjamin Button disease, where they're actually getting younger? They get to an age and they get this age and then they get younger. It doesn't work, right? That's why it's good, because it doesn't break the laws that have been assigned to it. Your cognitive ability to understand, to say, oh, I'm a spirit living in this body. This is how this body is supposed to function according to what the Most High has instantiated. Otherwise, the mitzvot that have been assigned to human being cannot be broken, and they haven't been broken. That's why the construct of human being is still good. So, Where does that bring us? That gets me back to my postulation to say, if I can understand that the Most High is who he is, then the magnificence of the human construct is something beyond what I can understand. Listen, why am I doing this? I don't know why. I don't know why I'm saying it. There is no correlation to what I'm getting ready to talk about today and what I'm talking about now, other than to give you a testimony to maybe help you understand as Hebrew Israel how magnificent you are in the eyes of the Most High, because you can understand what that construct is housing. Listen, those folk across the street, do they have the same understanding of the Most High as you do? Do they have the same respect and fear of the Most High as you do? So when somebody has a different perspective of saying, okay, I'm looking at this, come on, give me, exotic cars. Who knows what a Lambo is? Who knows what a double R is? Okay? A double R is a Rolls Royce. Okay? You know? To somebody who owns Rolls Royces all the time, that's nothing to them. To you, it's going to mean something, right? Because that's a very expensive car. So, for us, we understand, because we have this cognitive ability to understand what's in text about the Most High, our reverence for how we feel about this body is different because we know who the Most High is. And I'm just trying to bring it to a point of maybe another aspect of respect that we can have for what the Most High is. All right, let's get right into the teaching today. We're going to get into Vayikra, which is Leviticus, which means what in Greek? Vayikra, Leviticus. Leviticus in Greek means what? Belonging to Levi. Right. Belonging to Levi. In Hebrew, it means what? And he called. Okay? And he called. That's what it means in Hebrew. These two particular chapters we are going to go over today are 15 and 16. It is going to be a continuation of mitzvot that deal with the body. We talked about some mitzvot last week that dealt with the body. Those mitzvot hover around what? Concept. Sara'at, right? An inflammation of, or an irritation and discoloration of the skin based on a particular, maybe from some type of boil or some type of like burn or sore or something, okay? Prior to that, we talked about another set of mitzvot dealing with the body when we talk about a woman in childbirth. Did we not? Okay. So we're continuing on with these ideas. And again, we talked about mitzvot that dealt with the food that we eat in chapter 11. Okay. So we're continuing on with this idea of mitzvot that affect the body in chapter number 15. It is going to talk about mitzvot concerning male and female discharges. It's going to be maybe a little graphic, but male and female discharges. In 16, we're going to get a good understanding of what is supposed to happen on Yom Kippur. That's what's in chapter number 16. We are actually, I believe, almost halfway through the book of Vayikra, or the book of Leviticus. So we will continue to trudge on. All right, let's start at the top in 15 and get right into it. I wanted to ask right before I get started, too, of all of you, is there any question that you want to ask? Is there a question that you want to ask about something, a mitzvah, or a particular situation? And the reason why I'm asking that is this. We had a question in the podcast last week, or this past week, that we've kind of gone over before, but it dealt with the issue of when the day begins. And I don't want to go so far into what we call the proverbial weeds and forget about maybe some questions that we need to shore up. So if you don't have it now, that's okay. If you have it along the way, then ask, okay? I just don't think from here on out that if you do have a question, it needs to stick to the subject matter. I would like it to, but if you have a question, ask it. Because again, the question was when does, matter of fact, let's answer it. Let's just ask the question right now. Can we do this? Can we take a side quest? We can't take a side quest? Okay, we take a side quest? Okay. Okay. What? Let's ask a question. For those of you that are in here, when does the Shabbat begin? Someone said today. Someone said today. When the sun, you said sun down, sun up. When? This is why we're doing this.
When the sun hits the horizon, it begins the day.
Okay, so the Moray said when the sun hits the horizon, that's when the day begins.
Sundown is the evening.
Sundown is the evening.
And then there appears after the evening darkness at night. Daylight does not come about until the sun hits the horizon in the morning. That's when a day begins.
So he's saying, for those, he didn't have the microphone, it says when the sun hits the horizon, that's when the day begins. The day is over when the sun goes down. And there is no sun. It's separated from night from day. Okay. Now, let's prove it. Because that's what we do, right? Let me show you. Because this is what's going to happen. You're going to have folks that are going to say, no, it's not. It starts in the evening. You know why it starts in the evening? Because Bereshit chapter number 1, verses 1 through 4 tell me so. Does it? Because there are mitzvos that talk about when you guys are going through it right now, that when somebody is unclean, they're unclean until evening. So I guess my new day starts when the evening gets there. You're going to have people that come and tell you, well, okay, what's this one that we're getting ready to talk about? That's coming up. We got a new festival that's getting ready to come up at the beginning of our year. It's called what? Pesach. It starts when? In the evening. So you're going to have people that are going to be giving you verses to prove what they're saying. But let's take it from the top. Shall we? Let's go to Bereshit chapter number 1, verse 1. Let's start there. What's it say back there? You got to get it for me, Johan. Bereshit chapter number 1. Matter of fact, I'm going to get it right here so we all can read it together. What does it say? When the day starts, this is what we're trying to get to. This is the point, key and point here. Let's go and do it. In the beginning. Who? Yahweh created what? The heavens and the earth. The earth was unformed and void. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Yahweh hovered over the surface of the water. Then Yahweh said, let there be light. And there was light. Yahweh saw the light was good. We know what the definition of good is. And Yahweh divided the light from the darkness. How? What is the division between light and dark? You're getting ready to see here in the last couple of words here. it says, Yahweh divided the light from darkness. Yahweh called the light what? Day. So light, light is prescribed to the day, right? The darkness he called what? Night. Light is associated with day. Darkness is associated with night. Are we clear? Okay. What are the divisions? Here we go. It says that Yahweh called the light day and the darkness he called night. So there was evening, transition, your division, and there was morning, one day. No. No. Okay. So look at it as all four components. All four components. It says to start it when? On the evening of the ninth day. Yom Kippur is on the 10th day. When is day? Because the Most High said just start it. Right, it's on the 10th day. Right. It says, we're going to get there. Let's go there. We're going to get to we're going to go there. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay. What I'm trying to establish here is what? Light is prescribed today, right? Night is described with darkness, right? Okay, you've got a transition. Evening and morning. Right. What Ambassador Beacom is saying is that he's looking at it as a complete system. Okay? He's looking at it as a complete system that says all four components have to be prescribed to this block or this bag we put everything in called day. I could call it a cycle. I could say the cycle, in that cycle, and not use the word day, because what we're doing is we're associating this bag called day, which has four components in it: daylight, nighttime, evening, and morning, right? And you call that a day, okay? But the Most High said here, day is to what? Light. Day is to light. So when I'm speaking about this, I'm speaking about it as a cycle, not as a day. Okay? So now that we have that prescribed, let's go further on down. Right? Let's go further on down. Let's see, in the same chapter here, we want to talk about what actually happened on the day that they were made. The sun and the moon, yeah. You're going to go to verse number 14. For all you nerds, this is going to be a question. If I have daylight or I have light, darkness and evening and morning, and the sun is not made to the fourth day, where is this light coming from? You got 3 days, and light and evening and darkness, morning have happened 3 times already. And they are not associated with the sun because the sun isn't made until the 4th day. Or we could say the 4th cycle. 14, it says, Yahweh said, let the lights in the dome of the sky to divide the day from night. How do I know that it's light out? Because the light that the Most High put there, which is the sun, comes up. That's when the day starts, because the sun is associated with light. It governs the day. Okay? So it says, from the CJB, to the sky to divide the day from night. Let them be for signs, seasons, days, and years. And let them be for lights in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth. If you're struggling with that one on what I just said, where light is coming from, and then it says, well, it says that the sun is giving off light too. I have lights in these rooms, and I still have lights on this stage as well. It's adding to the light that's already there. Why did I say that for you nerds? Because that defies all forms of science. Right? Okay, let's keep going. All right, 16, what did I say? Yahweh made the two great lights. The larger light to rule the what? The day. All right. The smaller light to rule the what? Night. And the stars. Yahweh put them in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. Okay? So, good. So when the Most High says, I want you to worship me on the fourth day, day is associated with light. Light and day have a sign in the sky assigned to it called the what? Sun. You know when the day starts when you see the sun. That's day. When I'm asked to do a mitzvot that starts in the evening, I know exactly when to start it. What evening do you want me to start it on? The one it's associated with in the cycle. On the 9th day, that evenings. That's when you're going to start it. On the evening of the 9th day. Day, light. Evening comes after it. Okay? That's how I know when to start it. See? He said, nuh-uh. So what I'm saying is that it should be no question as to say, if you know that in the beginning the Most High made light, and he called light day, and he assigned a sign in the sky to govern the day, which is the sun. When you observe the Shabbat, you observe the Shabbat on the 7th day, which is associated with light, which is associated with the sun. When the sun comes up, that's when the day starts. Okay?
The day doesn't start at 1 a.m. on a Gregorian day.
No.
That's Greek,
Right. They have it set up.
and that's darkness.
Right. You're saying that the day starts. It doesn't make any sense to say, okay, the evening is when the day starts. No, day starts when I see the sun, because the sun is assigned to light. And light is assigned to the word day. Okay? That's how we get there. You gonna come? He's like, y'all got. So, matter of fact, Pesach is the one that I think we're referring to, where it talks about what day it starts on. Where it says on the 9th day, somewhere in there. But, you know what? That's why we start the Shabbat on the day. Okay? I know what to do every single day of Sukkot, because there's something that has to be brought every day, right? Not at night, not in the evening, on the day. Okay? That's where we are right now. I probably, you know what, it's going to be up for some discussion, it looks like, and that's okay. We welcome that. I'm just giving you my talking points to say, okay, here's how we chain it together. Bereshit chapter number 1, verse 1 through 4. You go to 14, it gives you the rest of the pieces. After that, it's simple. I'm looking for when the sun comes up, hits the horizon. That's it. That's when it starts. All right? Okay, let's move on. Now let's get into 15. We got you warmed up. Yes, sir. The day is governed by what body? The sun. I know when evening starts when I don't see the sun, but I still have light. Then when it's all dark, then we're in darkness. That's when you can see clearly the moon and what other celestial bodies that he put up there to govern the night? The stars. And then we're in morning because you start to see light come over the horizon. And then we get back into day. Yes, sir. Well, you're going to have different elevations wherever you are, within wherever you're going to see it. It's when you see it on the horizon. Okay. So, all right. Let's move on. Did we beat that? We turned that one into a glue truck? Okay. Let's go back to 15. Say that one more time. Okay, so you're saying people might still not understand it. What? What's the question? Okay, all right. Well, we'll deal with that when that comes up. Let's go to Vayikra 15. Let's start there. All right, it says, Eye Asher Eye said to Moshe and Aharon, tell the people of Israel, when any man has a discharge from his body, the discharge is unclean. Right? So it is unclean. It says, tell the people of Israel, when any man has a discharge from his body, any discharge from his body, he is unclean. Now, when I looked at this, there is a specific section that talks about later on when we get to somewhere around matter of fact, it's at verse 16. I thought when I read this originally that this was talking specifically about seminal emissions. But seminal emissions actually shows up in verse number 16. Okay? That's where it shows up. So this is probably talking about any UTIs, like urinary tract infections, or anything that is a discharge that comes out of a man. Okay? This is probably what this is talking about specifically. So I just want to make that disclaimer. There's nothing that leads me to that tells me specifically what these discharges are. It just simply says a discharge. Okay? But we don't get into the specifics of what a discharge is from a man's perspective, or for the mitzvahs for a man, until we get to verse number 16. Okay? So we're going to go through this. So back to 2. It says, tell the people of Israel, when any man has a discharge from his body, the discharge is unclean. The discharge is unclean no matter whether it continues flowing or has stopped. It is still his uncleanliness. It says, every bed which the discharge lies on is unclean, and everything he sits on is unclean. Whoever touches his bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Whoever sits on anything the person with the discharge on is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Okay. Anyone who touches the body of a person with the discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, he will be unclean until evening. So what do we got thus far? Come on, what do we got thus far? So we're talking about a discharge. We talked about what in 3, that no matter whether it is continue flowing or has stopped, it is still his uncleanliness. Okay, we've got that particular portion in there. And then we've got in verse number 4, where if he touches his bed, how we're supposed to treat that particular issue. Okay, anything he sits on, and he has to wash his clothes, so on and so forth. Okay, in 7, we talked about if he touches anybody, then what? Anyone who touches the body of a person with a discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Okay? If a person in 8 with the discharge spits on someone who is unclean. Matter of fact, does this sound like something we can do in exile? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Okay? Says, if a person with the discharge spits on someone who is clean, the latter is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Okay? Any saddle that the person with the discharge rides on will be what? Unclean. Okay. Whoever touches anything that was under him will be unclean until when? Evening. Okay. He who carries those things is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Okay. 11. If the person with the discharge fails to rinse his hands, the Most High is being very specific with y'all. Rinse his hands in water before touching someone. That person is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be what? Unclean until evening. 12, if the person with the discharge touches a clay pot, it must be broken. If he touches a wooden utensil, it must be rinsed in water. When a person with the discharge has become free of it, he is to count how many days? 7 for his purification. Then he is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in running water. After that, he will be clean. All right, so we have the liturgy or protocol here on how we're to get clean for this particular situation. 14, on the 8th day, he is to take himself 2 doves or 2 young pigeons. Come before to the entrance of the tent of meeting and give them to the who? Cohen. The Cohen is to offer them, the one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus, the Cohen will make atonement for him on the account of his discharge before Eye Asher Eye. Now, you should already know when you hear sin offering and burnt offering what chapters you need to be going back and referring to. All right? Burnt offerings are in chapter number 1. Flock, herd, or they can be from a bird, okay? And then you've got the sin offering as well. So we got to make sure that they're following the particular protocol that's for that. So these are like cliff notes at this particular point. Yes, sir.
So what we read in the beginning of this particular section in Vayikra sounds to me a lot like the same things that's written for the woman in Nida.
Yes, where she's sequestered. Yes.
And the issue is because the first part of this begins with the emission, it's not talking about what we're getting ready to talk about now in verse 16, which
Yes.
goes back to your opening statement that whatever that emission is from a man, which I don't know what it is.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be some type of
I've never experienced.
infection.
I've never experienced what verse 1 through 15 is even talking about.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. That's why I said it's got to be some type of infection or something that comes out of. I don't know what that would be.
And the reason the reason I mention it because when we start here in 16, 16 is specific to what the emission is.
Correct. Yeah, STI. Yeah, they call them STIs. Yeah, STD or or a UTI, urinary tract infection. Matter of fact, they had some other things in there. This is other thing that's called blantitis. Blantitis is, I'm glad you asked because I wrote it down because I knew somebody was going to ask. It said, blantitis is a condition marked by an inflammation of the head gland of the member. It can occur on both circumcised and uncircumcised males. So I'm thinking it's something like that. It's got to be a health condition that's been contracted or something along those lines. But you're right. I'm glad that you made that analogy there to say, hey, that this sounds like nidah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a woman. So
Yeah, I mean, anyhow, I just wanted to make that point.
no, that's excellent, excellent, excellent. 16. So there are mitzvot in Hebrew Israel for women, and then there are specific Hebrew mitzvot for men. Okay? Now, what's this one say? This is a male mitzvot, or a mitzvot made for a man. It says, if a man has a what? Seminal emission, he is to bathe his entire body in water. I'm going to read that one more time. It says, he is to bathe his entire, not a section, his entire, okay? Not wade in the water at your ankles, okay? Entire. Let's be sure we're clear. When it says entire body in water, he will be unclean until when? Evening. Any clothing or leather on which there is any semen is to be washed with water. It will be unclean until evening. Man. Okay. You know what? You Hebrews are well versed with the wash rag and everything else afterwards. Anyway, any clothing. She said, Moray, come on, stop. Stay in character. You're right there with the Most High. He's right beside you. Any clothing or leather on which there is any semen is to be washed with water. It will be unclean until evening. If a man goes to bed with a woman and has sexual relations, both are to bathe themselves in water. They will be unclean until evening. I'm going to help y'all guys out. It says both. It didn't say separated. Woo, that was a little bit too much. Jeez, come on. You got it? Okay, you got it. All right. Do you know what to do? So in the event that a man has a seminal emission, he's going to be unclean until evening. He has to bathe himself in water entirely. If he has sexual relations with his wife, both of them need to bathe. They will be unclean until evening. All right. 19. It says, now, these are getting into women-specific mitzvot, okay? It says, if a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her body is blood, she will be in the state of nidah for how many days? 7 days. Whoever touches her will be unclean until evening. Everything she lies or sits on in the state of nidah will be unclean. Whoever touches her bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Whoever touches anything she sits on is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Whether he is on the bed or on something she sits on, when he touches it, he will be unclean until evening. If the man goes to bed with her and her menstrual flow touches him, He will be unclean 7 days, and every bed he lies on will be unclean. Very specific in there. We have what? The components for what? If we go all the way back up to 19, we specify what the nidah is, and then she's going to be in that state of nidah for how many days? 7 days, all right? Anything she touches will be unclean during that particular time, right? Whoever touches or sits on anything, they're what? They're supposed to wash themselves. They'll be unclean until evening, all right? Bed, anything. Even in this part where it says even if her menstrual flow touches him, he'll be unclean for 7 days, all right? Mitzvot on menstrual cycles. We good. Okay. Just know where the street is and the address so you can refer back to it. What do I mean by that? If you don't know the entire mitzvot, that's okay from top to bottom. At least try to remember where it is, okay? It's in Vayikra, chapter number what? 15, which is Leviticus 15. All right? Just so I can say, I don't know all the dietary laws, but I know they're in Leviticus or Vayikra chapter number 11. Okay? Get you there quick. All right. 25. It says, for female discharges. So this is something that's, now you guys ladies got to help me out. This is over and above the 7 days that's in there. Usually the menstrual period lasts 7 days. Am I on good ground when I say that? Because you're like, some of y'all like, I ain't been there in a while. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, sir. So, at any rate, this is going to be above and beyond, okay, this 7-day period. All right. So
this one right here in verse 25 that you're going into is specific to a gentleman that we're all familiar with.
No, don't take my thunder away. We're going there. We're going to read it. We're going to read it. Okay. So let's go through it first. We talked about it last week. Well, let's go through it. This is the mitzvah. All right. So this is what your Moreh says. This is the fine print. Okay, let's go. It says, if a woman, oh, here we go. Ambassador Beacon, can you go get your Moreh?
I just want to make a point for all Christians who may be listening to this teaching. I want you to hear this clearly. I want you to hear this clearly. All Christians listening to this teaching.
Clearly.
Leviticus chapter number
15.
Verse 25.
Okay. Let's go through it. If a woman has a discharge of what? Blood. Okay. For many days, not during her period. Let me say that one more time, because you need to get that piece right there. Okay? It says, if a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, not during her period, or if her discharge lasts beyond the normal end of her period, then throughout the time she is having an unclean discharge, she will be as when she is in nidah. She is what? She is unclean. Every bed she lies on at any time while she is having her discharge will be for her like the bed she uses during her time of nidah. And everything she sits on will be unclean with the uncleanliness like that of her time of nidah. Whoever touches those things will be unclean. 27. Matter of fact, we need to assign this one to somebody to go back to. It says what? Whoever touches those things will be unclean. Whomever touches those things will be unclean. He is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. If she has become free of her discharge, she is to count 7 days after that. She will be clean. On the 8th day, she is to take for herself 2 doves, 2 young pigeons, and bring them to the who? Kohanim at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The Kohen is to offer the one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus, the Kohen will make atonement for her because Eye Asher Eye on account of her unclean discharge. Are we clear what's happening here? What? Her flow is longer than it extended past the time that she's in her nidah, right? Okay. Anything that she touches becomes unclean, all right? When she's become free of it in 28, what? She's to count how many days? 7 days. You're free of this discharge. You count 7 days. On the 8th day, you have to bring an atonement, right? An offering, okay? And it outlines that in verse 30. Verse 31, it says, in this way, you will separate the people of Israel from their uncleanness. So they will not, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Thank you. 31. I'm going to assign 31 to you, Moray. It says, in this way, you will separate the people of Israel from their uncleanliness so that they will not die in the state of uncleanliness for defiling my tabernacle, which is there with them. Such is the law for the person who has a discharge, for the man who has a seminal emission and makes himself unclean, for the woman in nidah during her menstrual period, for the person, man or woman, with a discharge, and for the man who has sexual relations with a woman who is unclean. Now, we need to take a mosey on over across the street. We need to go to Mark. Oh boy, chapter number 4. No, chapter number 5. Let's go to Brother Mark. Because this is written actually in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Matthew and Dr. Luke do not give the detail that Brother Mark does, or Deacon Mark does. We're going to go to, let's go to 5 and 24. 5 and 24. We just read to you what having what? An issue of blood beyond normality makes you unclean. We read the fine print. Okay, now let's read the situation. It says what in 24? He went with him. A large crowd followed, pressing all around him. I'm going to emphasize that. Pressing all around him. Okay, that is, we're talking about Jesus Gonzalez on this one, okay? This is JC, okay? This is Yeshua we're talking about. He went with him, and a large crowd followed, pressing all around him. That's JC. All right? 25. Among them was a woman who had a hemorrhage for 12 years. Is that an extended period of time? A blood hemorrhage. It says, and, we're going to see that a little bit later, and had suffered a great deal under many physicians. She had spent her life savings, yet that sounds like the present day United States. Okay. Go into the hospital and spend your life savings trying to, okay, anyway. She had spent her life savings, yet instead of improving, she had grown worse. She had heard about Yeshua, so she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his robe. For she said, if I touch even his clothes, I will be healed. This could preach all day long for us. Because what she said, go back to 27. You could preach that all day long. She said what? She said she had heard about Yeshua, so she came up behind him in a crowd and touched his robe. And she said, if I touch even his clothes, this whole leaning to your own. And that's why we challenging it. If I touch even his clothes, I will be healed. Instantly, the hemorrhaging stopped, and she felt in her body that she had been healed from the disease. At the same time, Yeshua, aware that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, who touched my clothes? His Talmudim responded, you see the people pressing in and on you, and you still ask, who touched me? But he kept looking around to see who had done it. The woman, frightened and trembling because she knew what had happened to her, came and fell down in front of him and told him the whole truth. Daughter, he said to her, your trust has healed you. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. What is the problem here, Hebrews? That's not how you do that at all. Okay? The Most High has given you we start out with the question is this: can the Most High be unclean? Is there ever a time when the Most High can be unclean? No. Okay, so if the Most High can never be unclean, we clearly see here that when she touched him and everybody else she touched in order to get to him, she was making a trail of people unclean. That she was doing this, okay? Right? Now, yes, sir. So, what we can say here is that if you go back to that verse that I had you memorize, 31, what does it say over in 31? It says, if in this way you will separate the people from Israel from their uncleanliness, so they will not die in a state of uncleanliness for defiling my tabernacle, which is there with him. She could have technically killed the Most High. One could say that. But that's not the Most High. But the point that I want everybody to draw away from here is that there's a clear example of your deity that you pray to, which, by the way, prays to our deity. You did know that, right? That Christ prays to the Most High. How many times have you heard them say, I can only do the things that my Father has asked me to do? Even he prays to Yahweh. Even in his state of not, in some instances, not fulfilling the mitzvot like the way they're supposed to be fulfilled. I saw hands go up. Yes, sir. Power left him. That's true. That's a very good observation. You can't take the power away from the Most High. How does that work? Yeah. So, what's the point? What is the point? Let's get to the point. Why did I bring that up? Okay, here's the point. What we've been saying for the last couple of weeks. If you don't know about these particular situations and you don't know the fine print, then you're just going to read over this. Like, oh, what a beautiful situation. She went up there and touched the hem of her garment, and then we go ahead and turn the music up to 11 for the next half an hour, praising and shouting, because what? We now make this about deliverance. Instead of analyzing and saying, no, there's a problem that's going on here. I need you guys to reconcile it for me. How in the world does God, if you say that's him incarnate, manifested in the flesh, how can he become unclean? Because according to his own mitzvot and his word that he told Hebrew Israel, he cannot be touched, especially by somebody who's unclean. That would make him unclean. And then there's no provision, if you continue to keep reading here, where he does anything to make himself clean or follow the mitzvot and say, oh, I need to wash, because that's what the mitzvot says. If he get touched, for X amount of days. In the one instance, you're unclean for 7 days. So how can this be? That's the point, is read the fine print. The fine print will help you when you're disseminating things. Okay? All right. That's the whole entire thing. Uh-oh. No. What did you say? She was healed on her own belief. Wow. You see that? That's cold-blooded. Where's the microphone? I almost wouldn't want you to say that out loud. That was cold-blooded. She said, how was she healed? She was healed on the fact that she said, because she believed it. It was her. Said, okay, well, you must be healed because you think you are. At the end of the day, be gone with you. So, at any rate, point being here, read the fine print, and the mitzvot help you with that, okay? Yes, sir. That's correct. The Kohen is actually involved in this process as well. Absolutely. You Hebrews are beautiful. All right. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. Listen, I'm never going to stand on this stage and profess that I know. I have a little bit of chutzpah, a little bit of mojo. Try to present the mitzvahs the best way I can. Okay? I may not get it right all the time. But doggone it, you know what? What we are going to do? We're going to work to get in the truth together. Okay? Let's do that. All right. Let's go to chapter number 16. And then we're going to go through this issue of Yom Kippur. This is one of our festivals, okay? Why is the Shabbat so important? Why is the Shabbat so important? Okay, so it is a day of rest, and the Most High asked us to rest on that day. Anybody else? It's a covenant, okay? It's a mitzvah. Okay, let me ask this. We do the Shabbat every single week, right? Let me ask it a different way. We only do some of these Moedims or festivals one time during the course of a Hebrew year, right? You don't do Sukkot twice. But you do Shabbat all the time. You do it every 7 days, okay? We were in the podcast this week, and Yamore had said something, and I said, man, the Shabbat is so important because he read that part about the Shabbat that says that if you don't observe it, you could die. And I'm going through this next one here with Yom Kippur, and we're going to go through it slow, but I wanted to see whether or not there was any place in here where you died if you didn't participate in Yom Kippur. You'll want to participate in Yom Kippur. Why? Because it's the atonement. Yeah? Hebrew Israel once a year is getting all of their sins atoned for at one time. Okay? So everybody needs to be in a state of cleanliness during this particular time. But I'm saying to myself, man, you know, these mitzvot on Moedims are important, but the Shabbat itself is so set apart in my mind's eye because of the fact that, number one, how important it is in the mind of the Most High. Because what? Listen, let me just cut to the chase, okay? What's different about these mitzvot is the fact that I can ask you this question. Hebrew Israel, can you do Yom Kippur in its entirety? No. Can you do Shavuot in its entirety? No. Can you do, is another one? Pesach in its entirety? No. Why? You're in exile. You're not in the land. It's a specific, what? Place sometimes. The Kohanim have to be involved. Right? There's stipulations that have to be there. What's the difference now between that and the Shabbat? The Shabbat is something that you can do no matter where you are, throughout all your generations. That's why I think the Most High puts so much emphasis on it and saying, hey, listen, you need to understand how serious this is, and I'm going to attach this death component so you understand I'm not playing with you. Yes, sir. Know where you live. No matter where you live. And that's where that could be anywhere. We've been dispersed everywhere. And the Shabbat is something that you can do in its entirety. It's a beautiful thing. All right, let's get into it. Where are you set up at? That says 23 up there. I am in Vayikra chapter number 16. Or Leviticus chapter number 16. And this is the mitzvahs on Yom Kippur. Chapter number 16. What did I say? Vayikra, Leviticus chapter number 16. What did I say? Did I say something different? Okay. Y'all got, woo, come on. Okay, let's keep moving. Who? Eye Asher Eye spoke to Moshe after the death of Aharon's two sons when they tried to sacrifice before Eye Asher Eye and died. Eye Asher Eye said to Moshe, tell your brother Aharon not to come at just any time into the set-apart place beyond the curtain in front of the ark, which is on the ark, so that he will not die, because I will appear in a cloud over the ark. 3. Here is how Aharon is to enter the set-apart place with a young bull as a sin offering. I almost need my help back there again. We're back into the tabernacle, okay? Plan view, three-dimensional view. We're talking about the things that are happening back here, okay? Let's go get our animals. I'm going to need you one more time to help me out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's have a microphone. Because we got to have my stuff again, okay? Let's go, and why don't we start at verse 3.
Are you ready, Sean?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Here is how Aharon is to enter the set-apart place with a young bull as a sin offering and a ram as a burnt offering.
So we got a bull and we got a ram. Got it. Okay.
He is to put on the set-apart linen tunic,
Mm-hmm.
have the linen shorts next to his bare flesh, have the linen sash wrapped around him, and be wearing the linen turban. They are the set-apart garments. He is to bathe his body in water and put them on. He is to take from the community of the people of Israel.
Okay, now we go into Israel.
2 male goats for a sin offering.
So we got 2 male goats. All right.
And 1 ram for a burnt offering.
For a burnt offering. All right.
Aharon is to present the bull for the sin offering, which is for himself, and to make atonement for himself and his household.
Okay.
He is to take the 2 goats and place them before Yahweh at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then Aharon is to cast lots for the 2 goats. 1 lot is for Yahweh, and the other is for Azazel.
Yes.
Aharon is to present.
Hold on for 1 second. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, I needed to stop you early. Do we know about casting lots? Okay. It's not, I know when growing up in the church, we were just like, oh, you shouldn't cast lots. They told us that all the time. Don't cast lots. No, Hebrews cast lots. Yeah. And that's a way of just determining something. They did it a couple different ways. They could have had a bag that had rocks in it, and there was one particular rock in there, or two rocks. They go in there and they pull 1 rock out, and this is the stone for Azazel. So it depends on, it's kind of up to chance. They assign a stone to each animal, and depending on which rock gets pulled out, that's the animal that becomes that particular piece. They could have done it a couple different ways, but it's kind of like a raffle, if you will, kind of something that makes a determination by chance. All right? That's what casting lots is. Just like who? In Book of Jonah, okay. They cast lights over there, okay. All right, sir.
Aharon is to present the goat whose lot fell on Yahweh and offer it as a sin offering.
Okay.
But the goat whose lot fell on Azazel is to be presented alive to Yahweh, to be used for making an atonement over it by sending it away into the desert for Azazel.
Okay. So this one is going to get sent out into the desert. So one of them's getting sacrificed. We've got the bull that's already done. We've already got the goat that's already done for Israel. So we haven't done, I don't think we got to the 2 burnt offerings just yet. But okay, continue, please.
Aharon is to present the bull of the sin offering for himself. He will make atonement for himself and his household. He is to slaughter the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself. He is to take a censer full of burning coals from the altar before Yahweh, and with his hands full of ground fragrant, with his hands full of, there you go.
Yeah, full
of
ground.
ground fragrant incense, bring it inside the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before Yahweh, so that the cloud from the incense will cover the ark cover, which is over the testimony, in order that he not die.
Right. So he's back here now. Aharon. Okay.
He is to take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his finger over the ark cover toward the east. Right. And in front of the ark cover, he is to sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times. Next, he is to slaughter the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people. Bring its blood inside the curtain and do with its blood as he did with the bull's blood, sprinkling it over the cover and in front of the ark cover.
Right.
He will make an atonement for the set-apart place because of the uncleanliness of the people of Israel and because of their transgressions, all their sins, and he is to do the same for the tent of meeting, which is there with them right in the middle of their uncleanliness.
All right.
No one is to be present in the tent of meeting from the time he enters the set-apart place to make an atonement until the time he comes out, having made an atonement for himself, for his household, and for the entire community of Israel.
All right. So what we've got thus far, like we've said, we've shown the sin offering for both Israel and the Kohanim have already been made. They've done that particular protocol, and now we're getting into the reason why we're doing Yom Kippur is what? Again, what's the point of Yom Kippur?
To make atonement for sins.
To make atonement for sins. We're going to do this once a year for Hebrew Israel. That's how atonement happens for the community of Hebrew Israel. That's what we're talking about. So this is one of our Moedim. Let me take over here at 18. In 18 it says, then he will go out to the altar, that is before Asher, and make an atonement for it. He's to take some of the bull's blood and some of the goat's blood and put it on all the horns of the altar. He is to sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times, thus purifying it and setting it apart from the uncleanliness of the people of Israel. When he has finished atoning for the set-apart place, the tent of meeting and the altar, he is to present the live goat. This is this one, Aziel. So these two guys are gone. This is the one that's still alive. Okay? All right. Where did I leave off at? Okay, 20. When he has finished atoning for the set-apart place, the tent of meeting, and the altar, he is to present the live goat. Aharon is to lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the transgressions, crimes, and sins of the people of Israel. He is to put them on the head of the goat and then send it away into the desert. Everybody clear? He's putting his hands on the head of this goat, atoning for all the sins of Hebrew Israel, and then that goat is getting let out of the camp. Go back and get that. Where did I leave off?
You mean the goat took the sins away, not a lamb?
He said the goat took the sins away. Yes. and not no lamb. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It says the goat, and then sent it away into the desert with a man appointed for the purpose. The goat will bear all their transgressions away to some isolated place, and he is to let the goat go in the desert. Aharon is to go back into the tent of meeting, where he is to remove the linen garments. He is to put on when he entered the set apart place, and he is to leave them there. Then he is to bathe his body in water in a set apart place, which is probably in that lavalier of water out there. Put on his other clothes and come out and offer his burnt offering. The burnt offering come out and offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people. What is left? These two guys, these rams. Okay? They get offered. Okay? Thus, making atonement for himself and the people. He is to make the fat of the sin offering go up in smoke on the altar. The man who let the goat for Azio is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in. Afterwards, he may return to the camp. The bull of the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the set-apart place, is to be carried outside the camp. There they are to burn it up completely. Their hides, meat, and dung. Now, here's an extra credit question for you guys. Could the meat of these animals be eaten? That was a quick no. Why? Told them to burn them up, but there's another mitzvah that talks about that. It's back, I believe, in Vayikra chapter number, 5 somewhere at the end, where it says, any blood that's brought into the sanctuary or into the tent of meeting from that animal cannot be eaten. So it's right in line with that mitzvah of what they're doing here, because both of the sin offering and for the people and for the Kohanim, that blood came into the tent of meeting. So therefore, that animal cannot be eaten. All right? All right. We're going to go over this real quick. All right. 27. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make an atonement in the set-apart places to be carried outside the camp, they are to burn up completely their hides, meat, and dung. The person burning them is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Afterwards, he may return to the camp. It is to be a what? A PR thing. A public relations thing. It's supposed to be a what? A permanent regulation. For you that what? On the 10th day. 10th day. When the sun hits the horizon, on the 10th day of the 7th month, you are to deny yourselves. What does that mean? Fast. Okay? And not do any kind of work. Both the citizen and whom? The foreigner living with you. This is everybody. For on this day, atonement will be made for you to purify you. You will be clean before Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh from all your sins. It is a Shabbat of complete rest for you and you are to deny yourselves. This is a permanent regulation. Okay, now, if we're going to go on what we've been taught about what the plan of salvation is, does it have anything to do with human sacrifices? No, it does not. Hebrew Israel gets atoned for once a year on a specific day called Yom Kippur. Okay? You can't make analogies and say, okay, this individual is like this goat that had the sins taken away from it. No, that's not what happens. Okay? Let's get some things clear. Yes, sir.
So it cannot be a lamb.
It cannot be a lamb.
So he is not the lamb
No.
that taketh away the sins of the world.
Correct.
It's a goat,
That's correct.
not
Yes.
a lamb.
That's right.
Let's
Yes,
get
sir.
it right, Christians. It's a goat, not a lamb.
Yeah. Agreed. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. It's a goat, not a lamb. And it's an animal, not a human being.
Exactly.
Let's go that far, okay? Can we just, this is how we make an atonement? Does it not say in Matthew chapter 1 that the mission, come on, let's just go get Matthew. Because you won't believe me unless I show it to you. Let's go get Matthew chapter 1. Let's drop down somewhere around 18. Brother Matt does a great job too. Uh-huh. Okay, let's just read it from 18 down. I'll try not to stop, although that's going to be very difficult for me. Here is how the birth of Yeshua, the Messiah, took place. It says, when his mother, Miriam, was engaged to Joseph. Is there anything wrong with that, Hebrews? No, you can be engaged as Hebrew people, right? Okay. Before they were married, now your mitzvot should be kicking in right now. Before they were married, she was found to be pregnant from the Ruach HaKodesh. You could have had an awful stop right there. But let's keep going. Her husband to be, Joseph, was a man who did what was right. So he made plans to break the engagement quietly. You can't, as a Christian, read over that and not ask the question why. He made plans to break the engagement because this is a man that does what's right. So what mitzvot are we missing? Oh gosh, okay, I'm teaching it. So he made plans to break the engagement quietly. Rather, what? To put her to public shame. There's another question. And you only get, if you read the fine print. See, this is what we're saying. You need to know the fine print of why he's doing what he's doing. It says, but while he was thinking about this, an angel, I don't know why that would be. Why in the world? See, I can't get through this. Why in the world, if you are a righteous person and you're doing what is right in the sight of the Most High, why would the Most High send an angel to tell you to do something contrary to what is right? Okay. Said, but while he was thinking about this, an angel of Yahweh appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Miriam home with you as your wife. For what has been conceived in hers is from the Ruach HaKodesh. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, come on.
Moray.
Come on. Floor is yours.
Moray, no, I'm coming up with you.
Now, see, now I got the, okay.
No, don't
The
go
floor is
there.
yours. The floor is yours, sir.
Moray, you know, and I know by Scripture, there is only one angel that speaks for Israel. What's that angel? Gabriel.
Okay.
So,
All right.
text says he sent an angel to speak to Joseph about something that has to do with Israel. Doesn't pronounce his name. It would have had to have been Gabriel if it was at all.
If it was at all.
If it was at all.
Okay.
So now, my question, what malicious angel is this that he's sending? And the question is, who's sending him? Because this is a Greek document made up by the Greeks.
Okay.
And the Greeks don't know what angel speaks for Israel. and for the Most High? You tell me. Something. And then you're going to ask me, how come I don't believe in the Greek New Testament? A half-truth
is a
whole
lie.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. Listen, this is what we're doing. We can have a good listen.
I mean, you and I. No, don't defer to me. Come here, come here, son. We hooked up with this together.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just couldn't hold my seat on that.
No, that's all right. I'm getting out of your way.
No, I'm through.
I'm giving you a clear lane to work with here.
When you hear that.
Yes. "21. I didn't get to my part that I was getting to yet. No, that's all right. Because you got to understand what this man's purpose is. Okay? It says, she will give birth to a son, in 21, and you are to name him Yeshua, which simply means Yahweh saves. Wow. Because he will save his people from their sins. All this happened in order to fulfill what Yahweh had said through the prophet. Now, this is where we get into an issue here with Yeshayahu. This is a wrong reference here, okay? This is a whole other teaching in itself. But it says, the virgin will conceive and bear a son, and they will call him Emmanuel. That is a misquote, if ever, okay? What that is talking about has nothing to do with prophesying that Christ is going to come through a virgin, okay? Go read Yeshayahu, chapter number what? Chapter number 7, and read the whole thing. Has everything to do with two kingdoms, one kingdom feeling like the other kingdom was getting ready to wipe them out. And we have to send a sign, and that sign is that a virgin is going to get pregnant. Not a virgin, actually, a young woman is going to get pregnant. The prophet's wife is going to get pregnant. When you see that sign, know that I'm not going to destroy the two kingdoms. Not the two kingdoms, but one kingdom. Yehuda versus Israel. That's what we're talking about here. Yehuda thought that they were going to get wiped out. Okay? So that was their sign. Yes? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it makes it very clear. I just wanted to read that one last time. It says, because, I'm going to go back up to 21. It says, she will give birth to a son, and you are to name him Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves, because he will save. This is what we read over too fast. His people. Who are his people? Israel. He's supposed to save Israel, not the world. It says he's coming to save his folk from their sins. How do we define what sin is? It's a violation of Torah. And who is Torah assigned to? Israel. So if we're talking about in the context of sin, we know what sin is. We know what the mitzvot are there in place to do. We understand that they have been assigned to Hebrew Israel. So this can only be talking about because he will save his people from their sins. So I challenge this whole entire thing about John 3:16 that says, so the Most High came and loved the world that he gave his only begotten son to save what? No. Okay, let's keep going. I'm sorry. You know what? If you're not making folk mad, you ain't doing your job, I guess. I got folk that's going to be coming at me with razor blades and lemon juice after this one. Let's finish out the chapter over in Vayikra, chapter number 16. And I take my seat. Y'all ain't about to have enough of me. Sit down. Please. 29, it says, it is to be a permanent regulation for you that on the 10th day of the 7th month you are to deny yourselves and do not do any kind of work, both the citizen and the foreigner living with you. For on this day atonement will be made for you to purify you. You will be what? Clean before Eye Asher Eye from all of your sins. Okay? That's how it happens. It is a what? Shabbat of complete rest for you, and you are to deny yourselves. This is a what? Permanent regulation. The Cohen anointed and consecrated to be Cohen in his father's place will make atonement. He will put on the linen garment, the set-apart garments. He will make atonement for the especially set-apart place. He will make atonement for the tent of meeting and the altar. He will make atonement for the Kohanim and for all the people in the community. This is a permanent regulation for you to make atonement for the people of who? Israel. Because of all of their sins once a year. The Most High knows you're not going to be able to keep all these mitzvot. As a community, we have a way of making atonement, and then we have individual atonements that we make throughout the course of the year. Can we do this mitzvah? Can we do Yom Kippur in its entirety? No. Why? You don't have a temple. You don't have the Kohanim. You're not in the land. You're in exile. The best we can do is try to remember it, talk about it. What we can do out of it, we do. We what? We deny ourselves and we treat it as a Shabbat, which is a day of complete rest. We zakar and we remember. We talk about things that are in Vayikra, this particular chapter, and we go over what our ancestors would have done. But we cannot do it in exile, okay? So, this here, if we walk away with anything, is the plan of salvation once a year for Hebrew Israel. To save them from their what? Their sin. Okay? That's Yom Kippur. And as we get into the rest of Vayikra or Leviticus, we're going to go over the rest of these Moedims that are in this particular book as well. It has been fun up here with y'all these last 4 weeks. I look forward to returning. If I have not been thoroughly booted out of here, and another 4 weeks to talk to you more about Vayikra. We will continue on with our study. Hopefully you got something out of this today. I know that we're actually going to have some good banter probably after this, which is going to be good. So, for those of you that are joining me by way of the stream, thank you. For those of you that are here in our studio audience, thank you. The Honorable Robert B. Holman Jr. will be with you next week. And he will continue on with something that I know that he has been anxious, more than anxious to a fault to let you guys understand. And we look forward to that. So, with that, let me bless you. In the Hebrew, in Bad Midbar, which is the book of Numbers, which simply means in the wilderness, in chapter number 6, verse 24 through 26, it reads, Yivarekaka Yahweh v'yishmareka, Yair Yahweh panav eleka v'chuneka, Yasa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam lacha shalom, which simply means in English, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you his favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards all of you and give you shalom. Until next time, West Coast Hebrews. Thank you.